everyone, welcome to Mindset Nebula. I'm your host, Jelena Perfiljeva. Today with me, I have my co-host, Jonathan Bragg. Please say hi, Jonathan.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
And we have two first-time guests from Mindset. It's Libby Kessler with us today. She is a director of hiring, and we have Austin Kessler, who is a SAP recruiter here at Mindset. Please say hi, Libby.
Hi there. Happy to be here.
And Austin.
Hi, everyone out there. Thanks for having me.
And I just had to ask them this question. They have the same last name, but I had to clarify that they're not related. It's just a coincidence. So now that we got this out of the way, I'm really curious to hear about your background, Libby and Austin, because we work at the same company. But I can say that I really worked with you. Libby was the first person who I talked to in Mindset when I started working here. So I'm really glad to have you on the podcast. So why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience in recruiting and in SAP recruiting in particular? So Libby, let's start with you.
Sure. So I'm the senior director of recruiting here at Mindset. I've been here it'll be 5 years next month. I have 12 years of recruiting experience. Almost all of the SAP experience, however, has been here at Mindset. Previously to Mindset, I was in the IT recruiting space, but SAP was new when I joined Mindset, and I've been there ever since.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you. Austin, please.
Yes, and I'm the SAP talent executive here at Mindset. Just a fancy title for running a full desk. So I get to recruit SAP professionals and also manage some accounts and some of our clients who are looking for SAP professionals. So I've been recruiting for about 10 years in all, and most of that has been in the SAP space. I started recruiting at my last job before coming to Mindset, and was helping a large agricultural company local to Minnesota here build out their COE team, and got the chance to really cut my teeth in SAP and connect with some great professionals, and then came to Mindset about 4.5 years ago, going on 5, and had the privilege to continue recruiting in the SAP space and really connect with some great people who are very talented, SAP talented individuals here. So, yeah.
That's very cool. I was just thinking, Jelena, when you said, your first experience with Mindset was talking with Libby. There's so many people I talk to in Mindset now that their very first conversation, their very first experiences with either Libby or Austin, and just one of the things, you guys are the experience of Mindset, right? That it's everybody's first impression, it's everybody's first experience, and to me, that's why we have so many awesome people here. So it's awesome to be able to talk to you on the podcast, and really cool what you guys are able to bring here as far as experience levels, recruitment, and just bringing people together. That's, to me, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Exactly. I feel recruiters sometimes get kind of bad rep, but I think it's great to have such positive first experience with a company, and definitely whoever is in charge of recruitment and new hires at the company, it can almost make or break experience for a person, if you will. Yeah. So before we dig in, and our subject today is SAP hiring and state of SAP job market. But before we dig in, I'm curious, Austin and Libby, you both mentioned that you had some experience in general IT recruiting before SAP. I'm curious if SAP recruitment is different from other IT areas, or is it not that different? What do you think about it?
I think it's certainly more niche than the type of recruiting that I had previously done. SAP seems to be, kind of a small world. So work and reputation are very important. But also in my experience with speaking to SAP consultants, they've also been more willing to chat. I certainly got more hangups when just in general IT recruiting. So that's a nice change.
Yeah, I'll echo Libby. It's definitely a small world when you start to connect to different people, and you see that everyone's kind of connected, has worked on a certain project at this client. And we get so many referrals too, and that's what we really hang our hat on here is getting quality referrals from other people. But I would say it's some ways different, in some ways the same from general IT staffing. Of course, always when you're connecting with developers, it's tough to as recruiters to get the time of day to connect with them. And other areas of IT, it's a little easier to connect with people. But like Libby said, what I've found from SAP is people are always willing to chat and connect about opportunities. And so, yeah, there's some ways it's been easier to recruit. Others, it's been a little bit more difficult. But when we are working with a company like Mindset Consulting as an SAP technology partner, when you throw that out there, we always see that people are more willing to accept our messages and willing to have a conversation. So, yeah.
Well, it's great to hear that SAP people are friendly.
Yeah. Yes.
How much would you say is actually referrals? Because, at least in my background as, project-based, you work with 100 different people on an SAP implementation. And so, like you said, the SAP world is small, except there's a ton of resources out there. So it's like almost every single person has 1,000 people they've worked with before. It must be huge.
Yeah. I mean, Austin has some of the most referrals of anybody at Mindset. So Austin, you should talk about kind of what breakdown looks like.
Yeah. I've been fortunate to connect with a lot of talented SAP individuals. And like I had alluded to, people work with different people on different projects. And I've gotten to, in my career as a recruiter, most of my recruiting is just getting referrals from consultants that are working for us. And these are consultants working for us that have 20 plus years of experience, similar to you guys, and you've worked with a lot of great people. And so now really what my recruiting is just asking our consultant, hey, who have you worked with in the past that would be a great person or a great fit for this position here? And so I think the more you recruit, the more you're in the SAP space, and I think Libby will agree with me, the more referrals you get. And what we've seen from referrals is that these are proven people and already, in a way screened or already, reference checked, because you get someone that's saying, hey, this is a great person to work with. You should reach out to them, as opposed as someone we reach out to on LinkedIn that we haven't worked with before. We don't know how they're going to perform. And so the best way to find a quality say candidate would be through referrals, is someone that has been that someone that's worked with that person before. So it's always great to get referrals, and it's always I think the best way to get quality candidates in this day and age. So
Yeah.
Referrals hold a lot of weight in our book, I'd say, just to echo what you were saying, Austin.
Yeah, networking has been, I think, very important always, but maybe now more than ever. So I'm curious to hear your point of view on what's the state of the SAP job market. We hear so much about this great resignation that has been kind of rebranded as great reshuffling or just great movement of people from one job to another. What's your point of view on this? What's going on in the SAP market right now? How are we affected? Libby, let's start with you.
Sure. I mean, I think we definitely see it. I think every industry really is seeing it also. But great people are not around for long. That's kind of one of the biggest things. And I would say also, the best candidates are probably the ones that are not even actively looking. They're the passive job seekers. They're the folks that, maybe they aren't super happy where they currently are. They are open to hearing about new opportunities, but they're not advertising that they're looking. They're not applying to jobs. So passive job seekers. But the biggest thing is the market moves fast. These candidates are going to get snapped up in a moment. So speed is super important.
Yep. Austin, what do you think?
Yeah, I would say the Great Resignation really hasn't impacted the SAP market. I think it's more, the term that would probably best label the SAP market is the Great Shuffle. You get these quality, talented individuals that know a certain skill set of SAP, and they're highly sought after a lot of recruiters and companies. And with COVID hopefully winding down still, we're seeing projects starting to pick up, companies starting to hire again. And as far as the consulting side, these consultants that we're reaching out to have multiple offers most of the time. Their rates are increasing, and it's making very challenging for recruiters like us to try to get the best rate for our client and in the candidate, of course, to reach out to these candidates at the right time, because like Libby said, they're back to back to each contract here. And the good ones, from what I know, they don't use recruiters as much, as well as they just they have clients and they keep bringing these candidates back for other work. And so we know the good ones out there are never around for long. And as recruiters need to find that time when we can, that window of time to reach out to them right when they're starting to look and saying, hey, I don't think I'm going to be extending, to secure them for the opportunities that we have. And so overall, in a sense, it is a crazy market, and we're just trying our best to still find the right talent for our clients and compete with the other offers that they have out there. So
Yeah,
it's got to be challenging at the moment for sure. I was curious in that, we recruit anything from, UX designers, front end, back end development, architecture, principals. What out of everything right now, what would you say is the hardest? All of them.
I mean, if you could say all of them, right, Libby? It's always a challenge to find the right person, but I would say more on the technical side, developers have been tough, especially with the rise of Fiori and some other emerging technologies. Finding the developers that have that skill set is a lot more difficult in my opinion, than finding a good functional consultant, maybe in the FICO area or MM. I mean, there's still not a lot of people, but there's more people, I would say, that have that skill set and knowledge than developers. Is that kind of what you would say, Libby?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, on my team, we work on both full-time mindset positions as well as contract positions for clients. I probably should have mentioned that earlier. But for full-time mindset, I would say developers to go full-time, that has been a bigger challenge. And we also have more opportunity for them. So we have multiple positions open, and trying to find the right people. But that's been a challenge.
Yeah. My next question would be around the skill sets that is currently in demand on the market. I know it's a subject of particular interest to those who might be thinking about changing their jobs and maybe entering job markets, or maybe just passive seekers, as you mentioned, but kind of having that in the back of their mind, what do I learn to be more competitive in the job market? What would you say skills, and it could be either technical or non-technical, what is most in demand right now? So what are the elusive hot skills that everyone wants to know about?
I mean, on the full-time side, again, developers and technical architects, I would say full-time internal mindset, we have a lot more technical positions open versus the functional side of things. On the contract side, I would say we have more functional roles open. But internal mindset for both the US and India, developers, full stack especially.
Yeah, and speaking to more of the contract side, you know, the need of good FICO consultants, SD consultants, I think that is the most requested job skill set that we get for any project client that we're working with. And so we'll get multiple roles of FICO or SD consultants, seems like every week or every month. And then we're seeing the rise in need for S4, having that skill set there, right? As companies are more and more moving to the cloud version, we're seeing that employer or clients and companies are requesting people to have that S4 experience. And so ECC and having the experience and that functional knowledge and that certain skill set in SAP is sometimes not enough, and they're looking for people who have that S4 experience. So.
Yeah, definitely. It's not surprising. I mean, it's this trend started a while ago, and it's not surprising that it continues. Jonathan, any point of view from you as a director of all the awesome things at Mindset?
Oh, I like that. Director of Awesome. New title.
New title.
I'm more curious around if there's very specific call outs in job recs that you see from our customers and clients now around innovative technologies. So, you know, the things that we're playing with really heavily and have customer questions around are things within the SAP BTP space, right? Or S4 HANA connecting to AWS or third-party other applications. And I know we would see that in a normal like PI, PO developer where they're developing APIs for folks, but just other innovative technologies that you've seen out there. Is anybody calling out Internet of Things or machine learning or
RPA,
BTP itself? Yeah, RPA.
On the client side of things, for contract roles, I honestly haven't seen it too much. Austin, what do you think?
Yeah, as far as staff augmentation for those things, John, I haven't seen a lot of need yet from companies. I mean, as you know, we've got some clients that are requesting that skill set and experience in that area, but that would be, I think, they may be looking for a company like yourself to come in and kind of help manage that whole project and provide those skill sets, right? But from a staff augmentation and kind of a one-off consulting need, we haven't seen a lot of need from our clients yet for that type of skill set yet. So
yeah, I was curious because I've kind of seen the same. You know, they kind of wrap that all up into that development bucket, right? And that developer should either know all those things already or be able to, you know, a larger architect solution around that from somebody at that higher level and say, hey, these are the things we can do to solve this product or solve this problem with more innovative technologies than what you may be thinking of today. So yeah, I was just curious if it was an actual call out for folks yet, because it's one of what would you say, Helene? One of SAP's biggest talking points this year is anything around BTP.
That's what I wanted to comment exactly. There are some survey results, like ASAG recently published a survey where everyone is complaining about skill gap, and there are no skills and not enough people. But then do job descriptions actually reflect that need? Because there might be skill gap, but is anyone actually hiring? Or are companies like SAP customers, are they expecting consulting companies to pick this up and provide this type of skills? So that's very interesting observations there. Yeah, very, very curious.
Yeah.
So
when it comes to BTP, I mean, we're looking forward to helping clients find resources in that space, right? Libby's done a good job of jumping ahead and trying to build up a good pipeline of these people. But I think right now what clients have are what they see in their eyes, bigger issues and priorities right now before focusing on anything related to BTP, right? So,
yeah, interesting. So now, kind of talking about the different side of things. What would you say is very lucrative to the job seekers and job candidates right now? What would be of interest to, let's say, passive job seeker to lure them into a different position? What do you think is appealing to people who are looking for new jobs?
Austin, why don't you take it?
Yeah, I would say anyone that's looking for a change. What we've seen in the market is that more and more candidates are jumping the full-time ship for contracting. And I think I read some article here recently where I think we're going to see a shift in the market where over 70% of the workforce will be in a consulting role. And so I've talked to people all the time who are in full-time roles, and they know how hot the market is and what they can get paid and the benefits of being a contractor. And we've really helped them make that transition to consulting. And so I think a lot of SAP professionals who are looking for a change and wanting to work on newer technologies or looking for a little bit better compensation are looking to get into consulting. And we're always happy to help out with that transition there. And I would say if anyone feels like they need to market themselves better or are looking to get noticed, I would say LinkedIn is the best way to get noticed these days. That's kind of the resume of our day and age, right? And so us recruiters, that's what we go to first most of the time is looking at someone's resume, or someone's LinkedIn. And if we see that they have great projects back to back there, they got great recommendations, that's going to be attractive to any recruiter that's looking for their client for a candidate. And so I would say to any candidates that are looking out there, update your LinkedIn, make sure it's fully filled out, has certain skill sets that recruiters are looking for, so that when we do our searches, that their profile will pull up when we do our search there. Make sure they have recommendations if possible. That's what I look for. And, if they have all those filled out and have a great profile, a lot of times their profile will come up to the top of the search when we are looking for a certain skill set there. So,
and
I think,
yes, please go ahead, Libby.
And just being well networked in general as a job seeker is going to be very important. As we were talking earlier, referrals are one of our best ways to find great people. So keeping your contacts up to date, keeping in touch with people in your network from various points in your career, doing a variety of things, I think is really important because that's often how we find you as well.
Yeah. And I think going off that too, as much as Libby and I like to say we work with every great company that runs SAP, there's other people out there that have different connections, have different network, who work with different companies. And so I would say recruiters are your friends. Find the ones that you like working with, connect with them, because they've got different connections, they've got different companies they work with, they'll have different opportunities. And so the more good recruiters you can connect with out there, I think the wider net you can cast when you're looking for a new opportunity there. So
I agree. And I think a conversation never hurts.
Yeah.
You can learn something. The recruiter can learn something, even if you don't get a job out of it. It can be valuable in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And so most recently, we have seen, of course, increase of work from home, I think both in demand from the workers and in offering from the employers. And personally, I work from home, and I think it's a great trend, especially for working parents or people who may have some special needs, special requirements, or just want more flexibility in how and when and where they work. Have you seen impact of that on the job market? Do clients still expect their new hires to come to the office, or do you see more flexible offerings?
Yeah, I would say we definitely see more flexible offerings. We still have certain clients that want somebody on site, but that's kind of more of the rare occasion actually, and that really narrows the pool of people that they're going to find for that role. What I like about the work from home trend is that it does open up. Oh, it opens up your options on who you can find, so you're able to find better talent anywhere in the country versus just in one specific city.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I would say the one thing that good came out of COVID here is that companies have had to learn how to adapt to doing projects with a remote workforce, and they've gotten through it, and they've seen that, hey, we don't need to pay expenses for these people to be on site every week to accomplish what we need to do with this project here. And so I think a lot of companies are starting to see that, like, hey, we can do a hybrid model, or we can do a remote and still get through this project here and have people that to work on the things that we need them to work on for this project here. On the flip side, I've talked to a lot of candidates who will now only take remote projects, and that's been a challenge because we do have clients that we work with that still want to see people on site every now and then, but there will be candidates who are now wanting 100% remote probably for the rest of their career, and they will eventually find an opportunity like that, and they can wait around to find that opportunity there. And so I think we've seen that switch from candidates to who want to go full remote. They can do that in this hotter market. But then also the good thing is that clients are also, I would say most of them have changed to that hybrid model as well. So
yeah, I think it's Please go ahead, Jonathan.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I think COVID brought around a lot of trust to customers and clients and contractors to know that, hey, Zoom, GoToMeeting, WebEx, Microsoft Teams have been around for way longer than COVID, right? But nobody really trusted it enough to make sure it was the go-to option for people working. And I don't know, I always use the example of QR codes at restaurants now, right? For menus. And it's QR codes have been around for more than 10 years, but nobody really embraced the technology until they absolutely had to. And now that it's there, many restaurants still aren't printing menus, even though it's been proven that it's safe to touch a menu and things like that. It's just interesting how technology and that trust go together to switch this almost to a full hybrid situation these days.
If there was one positive thing, that's definitely the effect of this pandemic on the workplaces. And I have been advocate for working from home for longest time in my several jobs before that, because again, we had those opportunities since long time ago. VPN and broadband internet connections, they existed for a very long time, but companies were always reluctant to allow it. And in one of my previous engagement, there was actually effort to bring everyone to the office that almost destroyed very many teams where people worked remotely at least part of the day because they had to live very far from the office because that's where they could afford to buy real estate. And after they were told that they now have to go to the office every day, they just chose to quit. So it was even before Great Resignation, I think it totally was affected. Just now it's on the larger scale that we're seeing this change. And it might as well be, I think geography is part of the skill gap right now. When talking to, for example, some ASA customers that were complaining, oh, we cannot find the right people. but you are looking for a person not only with specific skill set, but also who will want to go to your plant somewhere in rural North Carolina and to go there every day and sit there physically on location. That makes it almost like mission impossible in my view. And problem here is not really skill, lack of skills on the market, but it's lack of people who want to live in rural North Carolina, as wonderful as it is. All right, so just switching to next subject. So interview is the next logical step, I believe, when someone is kind of in the process of starting maybe potentially a new job. And Jonathan and I, for full disclosure, we have done quite a bit of interviewing lately for internal mindset positions. So do you, I'm not sure if Libby and Austin, you're probably the first line of defense in interviewing. You're doing the first introductory interviews. Do you think there was any changes in that recently, or is it just kind of business as usual there?
I mean, I think the biggest thing in the market right now with interviews is they do have to happen quickly.
Yep.
They have to happen quickly, and feedback has to be given quickly as well. If a company is going to take, 3 weeks to get back to you, person's already going to be gone. So it has to move.
Yeah, absolutely. And I echo that. The more time that you're spending interviewing the candidates, they're interviewing other opportunities and probably getting other offers, right? And so we always should try to encourage clients to move as quick as possible and, not spend 5 or 6 meetings meeting the candidate. We think that either anywhere from 1 to 3 interviews should be enough to determine if the candidate is a right fit for your position or not. So, yeah.
I will say, again, in this market, especially, sometimes hiring managers, whether they're internal mindset hiring managers or client hiring managers, want to see a number of comparison candidates. Say they've interviewed one of our people, this candidate they really like, they feel really good about, but they want to compare. That's not always going to be possible right now. So I like to tell hiring managers to, use your prior experience, use the people that you have on your team now as your comparison candidates. Use other folks that you've worked with throughout your career as your comparison candidates, because speed-wise, we may not be able to find you another excellent comparison candidate while that other person is still around.
Yeah.
I'll call myself out. I'm guilty of that. That's very true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, again, it's speed, especially right now. We don't have a lot of time. So if somebody checks all or most of your boxes, you should move.
Yeah, and I'm not a hiring manager by any means, but I agree, and it's a good advice, I think, not just in hiring people, but in general in life. You see something that you like, you just grab it. You don't look for better things, because better thing might not come up ever, and then you will regret that you didn't get the thing that was good enough.
And you'll be looking forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I would say here at Mindset, we're pretty good at finding the right fit for any needs that a client have, and usually these candidates are either technically screened or we've got great references on them,
or both.
Or both, yes, we strive for that, and they've been, of course, screened by Libby or I or some of our other recruiters here on the team here, and so. And we know SAP very well and what to look for and the type of questions, and that really helps us identify the right candidate. And so a lot of times it'll just be 1 or 2 candidates you'll see from us, but you'll be very impressed with those candidates and not need to have 5 or 6 options to look at there. And so, yeah.
I think that's what you hit on, a key point. I think that, in my past in working with other recruitment teams, is key, and that's, you guys know SAP. you know those questions to ask in that first round to know, hey, you're a FICO consultant, how many central finance implementations have you done? Or you're an SD person, name transaction codes or name functionalities. Like, you guys can field those questions, which is amazing. It really helps the next round know that we're getting quality candidates to be able to talk to.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I hope, the candidates that are out there listening, I hope that you understand that anyone that is talking to a mindset recruiter, it may feel like you're just talking to Helena or John here, and that we can almost talk and know what we're talking about and know enough about SAP to understand your skill set, what you're looking for, and we can, most of the time help you find the right opportunity for you. So.
Yeah, I want to say it's really amazing. I find that in general, good SAP recruiters who are really professional recruiters, they have sometimes truly amazing knowledge to me technology-wise, because talking to them, you feel that they truly understand what you're talking about. Versus if you suddenly stumble upon like random recruiter who is like, oh, are you AP developer? Like, nope.
SAP. Yeah.
I don't think you're right the person to talk about this. So it's really interesting. So Jonathan, I think we have seen maybe slight change in the technology part of interview conversations. As you mentioned, SAP BTP definitely is becoming more of a subject, and even the candidates that may not have hands-on working experience with it already, because it's still, in SAP world, it's still relatively new technology. I think that some knowledge at least is expected from pretty much all the candidates, I would say. Is that ring true?
To me, yes, for sure. I would say two things. One, know latest and greatest SAP if your client or customer is, moving in that direction with S4 and different cloud opportunities. The biggest thing for me in some of the roles, we've been a part of is, knowing SAP is great. Knowing where SAP is moving to be more open to other technologies as well is even better. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you know how SAP can be installed and interact with AWS or any of the other hyperscalers out there, that's a huge tick in the box to say, okay, you know the direction and the future of where customers are going to be going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as we wrap up this conversation, I want to end with specific advice for potential job seekers or candidates, or someone who is just thinking about maybe changing career or maybe just starting their path in SAP. What advice you would give them with regards to skill set, or maybe how to make themselves available and discoverable? And Austin already gave some really great tips on LinkedIn. What else would you suggest to the potential candidates? And I will just start with myself. As I said, Jonathan and I are interviewing a lot of candidates, and I would say that communication skills are one of the most important ones, not just for functional consultants, but for developers as well. And it's interesting that Austin mentioned many people are looking to get into consulting, but this is where this becomes double important, because as consultants, we do explain technology to our clients all the time. And if we cannot rely on someone to be able to do that, then they simply will not be able to be successful in this field, no matter their technical prowess. So what advice would you share? Let's start with Jonathan.
Oh, the least, right? No, I think to me, my advice would be do research, have questions. That's a huge one for me, to know if somebody's really interested or if they're just taking a call for the most part. Yep. The second one from that is ask questions about the questions I'm asking too. So if you want more detail, or if you want to be steered in a direction, then ask. There's no problem, there's no faults in wanting more information about a scenario that I might be asking about, for example. So yep. Just be open, make the interview as an open, fun conversation, just like here on the podcast, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that job seekers need to remember that interviews should be a two-way street. You are you're interviewing the company as well as they're interviewing you. I do think research is extremely important. And then as a new, as somebody that's just, again, starting their job search, I've already said it a few times on this call, but networking, reaching out to the people that you know is always a great place to start, even just informationally, to learn more about what they're doing and kind of maybe how they got to where they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say two things, and I know I already mentioned this, but just having an updated LinkedIn. If you have, pretty much, it doesn't have to be your whole resume, but a lot of the keywords in your LinkedIn there, you will be found by a recruiter. We will be reaching out. We will be bugging you about opportunities. And so just, I can't stress that enough to have your LinkedIn filled out, having a great profile pic too, as well, where you want to see, the image of the person matched with the skill set too. And I would say, second thing would be to reach out to a recruiter, reach out to Libby and I, be open to having a conversation. I know we talked about that, but maybe throw a Zoom meeting on the calendar, because if we can meet you through Zoom or video, that's going to make us trust you more, seeing that person, having that face-to-face interaction rather than just a phone call, right? And the more we can trust the consultant, the more we want to put that consultant or person who is looking in front of the hiring manager that we're working with, right? And so I would say don't only be open to having a chat, but try to set up a meeting with a recruiter, because as recruiters, we are sometimes and most times the gatekeepers to a lot of opportunities to getting your resume in front of the hiring manager, and we can push your profile. And that's one of the benefits is working with one of the recruiters. So we don't bite. We're here to help you, support you, find your next opportunity. And we love reaching out and connecting with new people every day. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's great advice. And I just want to note one thing about the resumes. I know that we have many SAP professionals in our space that have many years of experience. And for myself, as someone who reads resumes regularly, interviews people, if I may ask people to keep it short, because really, to be honest, no one wants to read what you have done 10 years ago. And my approach is I have lots of experience myself. So every time I add new job, I have to remove something from the back of it, because it's really great. It's great. Your accomplishments are excellent, but honestly, it just doesn't matter as much. Technology moved on, and so just very, very brief statement what you have done before. It's more than sufficient. Keep it. I don't know. There was, I think, some kind of hard rule, like 1 page for 10 years of experience or something like that. But don't even bother doing 10-page resume. Just no one is going to read that.
I've seen like 15-page resume.
Oh my gosh!
Oh wow!
You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that.
I heard a rumor that John has a 50-page resume, but the guy's seen it all, done it all. So I guess that's to be expected, right? So yeah.
That in the back.
I mean, it's basically a book, right?
You just hand the recruiter a book.
Yeah, just publish it, John.
It's all pictures.
All right, excellent. Yeah, it's a great conversation, everyone. So thank you so much for joining today, Austin and Libby, and thank you for your great tips for all the potential job seekers out there. And as Libby mentioned, we have many openings here at Mindset. So please feel free to reach out. They are all posted on our website, so you can use contact forms there. And Austin is also available on LinkedIn. Please feel free to reach out and connect. And if you're interested in maybe consulting positions with our clients or other third parties, Austin will hook you up. And just have a conversation. I think it's very, very beneficial to talk to another person about potentially exploring the market and potential opportunities. So yeah, really great. Yeah, thank you everyone, and thank you, Jonathan, for joining us today. And thank you everyone for listening. Take care. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.